Hi guys, what is up? My name is Brianne and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming at you with yet another book tag, and this one is called the Adaptation book adaptation book tag. So I got this book tag off of a website that I will try to remember to link in the description below in case any of you would like to do it as well. Question 1 is, what is the latest book to movie adaptation that you've seen? So I'm excited to say that the latest book to movie adaptation that I've seen that I know of in theaters was 5 Feet Apart, and I went with someone on a date to go see that one. And it was a really okay movie. It was okay, but I hadn't read the book for it yet, and I was a little upset that I didn't get the chance to read the book before I went to see the movie. Question 2 is, what book to film adaptation are you most excited about? So I'd have to say the adaptation that I'm most excited about that's gotten some buzz lately, I don't believe it's a confirmed adaptation quite yet, but is BBC picking up the Infernal Devices trilogy as a TV show. And that is my all-time favorite series by Cassandra Clare, and it would be so nice to get the actual British Broadcast Centre to produce the books that take place in England. It would just be so nice, because if it's Americanized, it's not going to be as good or authentic, and it's going to be really cheesy and off topic, and it's just something that I would hate to see Americanized like that, because it has such rich European culture in it. Question 3, which book to film adaptation will you not be seeing? So I'm kind of sad to say that the one book to film adaptation that I definitely will not be seeing this year is the one and only Ivan. I think it's just because with that I get so much nostalgia back to the 4th grade, because that's when that book came out for me, and that was a long time ago. And I didn't like the book itself, so I don't have much interest in seeing the film adaptation of it. Question 4 is, what book to film adaptation will you never see again? This one I'm going to have to explain myself just a bit. So I will not be seeing 5 Feet Apart again. It was an okay movie, but now that I've seen the movie and I'm trying to get my hands on the book to read it, I just don't feel like I'm going to like the movie as much, and I don't want to taint my opinion of anything Cole Sprouse acts in, so I've decided that I will not be watching 5 Feet Apart again. I will read the book and imagine Cole Sprouse playing the same character, but I will not be seeing the movie again. Question number 5 is, has there been a book to film adaptation that has made you want to read the book if you hadn't read it yet? This one's pretty simple for me, just because I read the book and I didn't like the book at all, and I knew there was a movie adaptation, and I still have not yet seen the movie adaptation, but I really want to, and that book is Everything Everything, and I couldn't get into it. I did not like the main character or her mother. My main motive behind wanting to see the movie is to see how accurate the plotline is and how well the characters are portrayed and all of that. Question 6 is there a movie that made you never want to read the book. For this one, I had to think a little harder because there hasn't really been many times where I've seen the movie before I've read the book, or I've seen the movie and not liked it. But for this case, I had read the book first, and I loved the book. It was amazing. It was one of my favorites. And then they came out with the adaptation. And I saw the adaptation. And then I hated the adaptation, and then I started hating the book. And that was Divergent by Veronica Roth, which was one of the all-time, like, YA fantasy books out there. And, like, don't get me wrong, it's good plot, good everything, but I didn't like it after I saw the adaptation and started disliking the entire trilogies as a whole. And I might go back and reread it, but I don't see myself doing that anytime soon. Question 7 is, name a book that has absolutely nothing in common with its adaptation. For this one, I gotta say the best I could think of was Practical Magic, and I cannot remember who it is by, but the movie I've seen, and I see that a lot because it's one of my favorite movies, and it's one of the times where I love the movie so much more than the book, and I guess it makes sense that I didn't like the book because they have nothing to do with each other, but I loved the movie, but they had nothing to do with each other. Question 8. Have you ever left the theater because an adaptation was just so bad? I can proudly and 100% say, no, I have never left a theater while seeing a book adaptation just because it was bad. I don't think I've ever left the theater in the middle of a film anyways, because if you're paying to see it, you're paying to see it, and you're not gonna leave halfway through just because you don't like it. Question 9. Do you prefer to read the book first or watch the movie? Absolutely 100% of the time I prefer to read the book before I see the movie, just because the book always gives so much more background, there's more world building, there's more depth to the characters and their development through all of the books that I've read, and very rarely does the movie actually stay accurate to the book. Question 10. How do you feel about aging characters up in the adaptations? For example, they're in about middle school or early high school for the books, and in the movies they're all over the age of 18. For this one, I'd like to say sometimes it really does work. There are very few times where it does, because most of the situations that a character is put through in a book is based off of their age and what part of their life they're in. So if you're aging a character up and they're still going through the same things they are in the book, it's not realistic anymore, because do you really expect someone in their senior year of high school or freshman year of college to be worried about getting a date to a dance or passing the same kind of classes or dealing with the same kind of family drama? No, most of the time characters are set to a certain age because that's the age it makes sense for the character to go through and deal with these things. Question 11. Do you get angry when the actors in an adaptation don't look like the characters in the book were described? This is an okay question. I mean, if it's extremely drastic and I was really hooked with the books and how the character looked, and that's how I've attached their personality to them, then it might bug me a bit and make me upset sometimes. But if it's something off, like, oh, they have the wrong eye color, or they're paler than I expected, or they're tanner than I expected, or they dress a little differently, that's not that big of a deal. If it's completely different and drastic, yeah, that's gonna bug me a bit because that's not how the author intended it to look. But nothing is perfect, and of course there are going to be some inconsistencies with the written character and the character that plays the character. Question 12. Is there a movie that you liked better than its book? For this one, I would have to say yes, there was a show that I liked better than its book, and that was The Haunting of Hill House. I loved the Netflix adaptation of it so much more than I did the book by Shirley Jackson. I'm not sure why. I didn't like the author's writing style in the book, and I think it was a little too classic horror for me because nothing really happened and I had to DNF the book, and I don't do that very often. Usually I just like plow through it if I don't like it and hope for the best, but I couldn't even bring myself to finish that book, and I had watched the series maybe 3 or 4 times all the way through, actively watching it and not just playing in the background. And question 13, can you name a book that you would love to see as a movie? And for this one, you guys can probably guess it. It's not exactly the Infernal Devices series, but the individual book itself. I would like to see Chain of Gold made into a movie, and this would be the perfect like trilogy movie. You have Chain of Gold as movie 1, Chain of Iron movie 2, and Chain of Thorns as movie 3, and it's like they're the perfect length for movies, only if BBC does it, because again, this is another one where it takes place in England and it's not American culture, it's European culture, and I would really like to see the authenticity brought in a movie like that, especially in this story. Alrighty guys, that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments section below what your favorite book to film adaptation is. I'm really curious to see it, and I'd like some recommendations.